And welcome everybody to episode 23 of Comic Confidential, the weekly podcast where we bring you the week's comic-related news, views, and reviews. I'm your host, Kade, and with me, as always, is Troy.
Hello.
How you doing, mate?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good. We've got some bloody good reviews this week on iTunes.
Did we?
Yeah.
Well, not like I don't know. Like I don't check it every 5 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
No, we did. It's really good. Do you wanna read some?
Yeah, we got a 5-star review from Remy LeBalls. Great name. I love it.
Remy LeBalls.
I really hope that's a real name.
Well, yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I would hope so.
It doesn't sound like it's made up.
And anyway, they've said, I've spent quite a while hunting through various comic podcasts and continually disappointed until I found these guys. I'm hooked, smart, funny, not over the top, good old comic geeks. Much love.
Oh, that's nice. Has he got the right show?
I don't know. He said we were funny.
Yeah, said we were smart.
Or she said we were funny.
Yeah, Remy could be a female name.
Yeah.
We don't know that. That is very nice. Thank you, Remy LeBalls.
Great name. I love it. We also got one from Samantha Medusalith. I probably butchered that.
Medusalith, I think that's right.
Yeah. Well, let us know. And she or he, I'm pretty sure that's a she, has said, awesome podcast. Only stumbled across it recently, but loving catching up. Very interesting, informative, and funny. No bullshit. They tell it the way it is. Lets me get my comic/pop culture fix while pretending I have this functioning adult thing down pat.
You and me both, pal.
Don't we all? Yeah, what kind of grown men sit around talking about comics all day?
Yeah, right?
Not us.
Samantha, that is lovely.
Thank you very much.
What else has happened?
We've got some sad news this week.
Oh, yes, we do. Noelle Neal passed away on July the 3rd, age 95, so she had a good life. But if you aren't sure of who Noelle Neal is, she is actually what you would classify as the very first official on-screen Lois Lane.
Yes.
Yeah, so she was Lois Lane alongside George Reeves in The Adventures of Superman. And she will be sorely missed.
Yes, indeed.
We don't like to report on that sort of stuff, but we'd be remiss if we didn't.
That's right. You want to thank some people?
Yes, let's thank some people. Let's thank everyone who listens, subscribes, and reviews, as Remy LeBalls and Samantha Medusalith did. Make sure you follow us on Facebook at Comic Confidential Podcast, Instagram and Twitter at Comic Con Pod.
And don't forget, we've got a website, comicconpod.com. And if you want to support the show, you can jump onto patreon.com/comicconpod. Or you can buy through our Loot Crate link.
Yes. You can do that also, which we'll leave a link in the show notes, as we always do with that sort of stuff. And you happen to forget to mention that we actually have a fully functioning YouTube site.
Oh, yes. Now we bloody got
How
that
dare
going.
you? It took us like 14 years to get running. And now it is.
Yeah.
All episodes are on there.
That's it.
Except this one. But it will be.
It will be. By the time you hear this, it should be up there.
You would hope so. So let's talk some news.
Yeah. Stephen Amell. He's not happy.
He's not happy.
And he's usually the happiest man in the world.
He is actually quite a lovely gentleman. Never met him in person, basing it purely on what I see on the internet and TV, but he does seem like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
He's kind of bit back at reports that he claimed Flashpoint will indeed affect Arrow. So the Flashpoint storyline, obviously, that's going to take over on the Flash. And I'd like to thank at 8-Bit Dad for bringing that to our attention, because it's actually pretty funny what he says. So he says, actually, I sarcastically said, sure, in inverted commas, and then I seriously said, I have no idea whatsoever, but let's go with confirm. I guess. Yeah. So, not a happy chat.
What can you do about it, eh?
Well, not much. I mean, people are going to report what they want to report. But think about it for a second, right? Stephen Amell's anger or issues aside in this particular point, how could it not? I mean, they're all part of the same universe, right? And if Flashpoint is a universe, like a universe affecting occurrence, then how could it not?
Well, yeah, that's right. And the thing is, with this, if it did change the timeline, effectively, none of the characters would know.
Yeah.
Because it's just what's happened.
Right.
The only two people that would probably know if anything has changed on these other shows would be Cisco.
Yep.
And Barry. That's it.
Yeah. Why Cisco?
Because he can feel the other dimensions.
Of course. Because of his power.
Because of his power.
Yeah, well, that's true. So maybe then, in effect, it won't affect the characters themselves. But, oh, God, I don't even know.
Yeah.
It's very confusing.
It is. This
I feel like it should. Stephen Amell thinks it shouldn't. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. There's Constantine news.
There is Constantine news.
Yes, there's rumours about the CW picking the show up.
Yes.
Or is there?
Is
it just totally misleading titles
going
on in the news this week?
Look, there have been some reports that like sources close to DC or whatever have not confirmed, but they've basically said that the CW is looking at picking up Constantine.
Now, do you think that just means a character, or do you think that would be the show?
Well, what I read specifically said season 2.
Really?
Right, which I don't think is likely. And there hasn't been any confirmation from anybody yet.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah, it's most likely, I think, going to be on either Arrow or most likely Legends of Tomorrow as a recurring character.
Yeah, I think that's the way they need to go, especially if, we said it before, they've got the whole mystical element going on this upcoming season. Bloody get him on there.
Bloody get him on there. That should be our new hashtag.
Yeah.
If we've actually managed to bring him back with hashtag bring back Constantine.
I've seen it going around. No, I'm pretty sure we did, mate.
Well, even if we didn't, at least, he might be back in some form and we can, bloody bring him back. Is that what I've lost it already. I'm struggling. I'm struggling today.
You are on Struggle Street, aren't you? Martian Manhunter has been confirmed for season 2, regardless of the budget cuts.
So season 2 of Supergirl?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah. So this is one of the characters that a lot of people thought might not necessarily make it through to season 2 because the CW has a much lower budget than CBS.
Yeah,
or
that's right.
NBC or whatever it was on.
Yeah, CBS.
Yeah, so, everybody was kind of concerned because it was one of the best characters of the first season.
Yeah, definitely.
They were kind of a bit worried that it wasn't going to make a comeback because of the cost of the CGI. But it looks like the CW is bringing it back. Do you think it means, though, that we're going to see less of him?
I definitely think so.
More Hank Henshaw, less Martian Manhunter?
Unfortunately. But would you trade that off to have Superman in the show? That's what I'm wondering.
Well, I guess it depends on what capacity we're going to see Superman in on the show. Like, I know he's going to be... It's not going to be a Clark Kent. It's going to be an actual Superman or a Kal-El.
Yep.
It's going to be an actual Superman. Costume and all, as far as I'm aware.
Yep.
But I don't think that necessarily, I don't think that is going to take that much away from their budget. There are other characters they could definitely drop.
Yep.
Before they dropped him.
Well, Calista Flockhart?
Yeah.
She was the most expensive thing about Supergirl.
Right. But in all fairness to that, she was probably also one of the better things of season 1 of Supergirl.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel you on that, but I think they could drop her without it affecting the show too much.
But doesn't the whole thing revolve around the fact that she is a
secretary?
Is she a secretary?
Or a PA?
A PA, personal assistant. She's an assistant. That's what it says at the start. She's an assistant at Catco Worldwide. And then at the end, she actually gets a bit of a promotion. Yeah, and it looks like she's starting her own thing. So I don't think it's something that they can really drop. Either way, it doesn't matter. Keep Dean Cain. Make sure Dean Cain sticks around.
Forever.
Keep Dean Cain. We're going to get the Martian Manhunter anyway in some form.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Think about that. We've got Supergirl, Martian Manhunter, and Superman. This could make for a pretty good season.
Yeah, it's going to be fucking awesome.
Yep.
Also, we are getting Supergirl, the first season, replayed on the CW.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. They said, I think, from the 1st of August or something like that.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, so I'm going to drop live on live. It's going to drop live on the CW. And I guess that's going to probably August, September, October. Yeah, it makes enough time for it to finish in time for season 2 to start in late September, early October.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. And in line with all of these deals happening with the TV shows and all that sort of stuff, Netflix has also struck a deal with the CW to basically to ensure that Netflix will have the entire season of pretty much each of its CW shows within 8 days of the final episode dropping.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
Well, I like it.
Do you?
Well, I have Netflix.
Yeah, but I can tell you what, it's pissed off a lot of people.
Why?
Because CW used to have a deal with Hulu.
Yeah.
And it used to drop, I think, the day after the episode aired. But
Right.
you could watch it on Hulu.
Okay.
Yes.
So you think, well, see, here's the thing that I like that I don't care about, and that's Hulu, because Hulu don't really.
You
They have a lot of content that is not available in Australia.
Well, they have 100% content that's not available.
Exactly. That's my point. So, I'm not really concerned about Hulu. So for a guy like me, I think it's great. It means, well, look, we watch all of these shows as they come out anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not like we need to have the seasons drop. But it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing for people to catch up on.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Your favorite person is in the news again?
He is. Ben Affleck. Oh, my other favorite person.
Wrong person.
My other favorite person, Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith is back in the news. He's come out and he has confirmed that he's going to be directing episode 7 of season 3 of The Flash.
That's going to be cool.
That is going to be cool. He did a pretty good job on episode 21, which was pretty sweet. He's still trying to throw his hat in the ring for an episode of Arrow.
Is he?
As well, yep.
Oh, right.
Well, see, he created a character for the Green Arrow. I don't know if we've spoken about this before. He actually created a character for the comic books.
Oh, wait, I have heard this.
Yeah, onomatopoeia.
Yes, that's it.
So what he wants to do is he wants to actually introduce that character into the Arrow universe.
Yeah.
Like the CW Arrow universe.
There you go.
And he wants to be the one to direct that episode, as he should.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. He's also, I think he's also trying to get his hat in the ring for Daredevil as well.
Ooh.
What?
I don't know if that'll work.
Correct me if I'm wrong, internet. I'm sure you will. But correct me if I'm wrong. But didn't Kevin Smith at some point write for Daredevil?
I couldn't tell you.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah, right.
I have the internet at my hands.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to look it up. I'm pretty sure he did. I know he definitely wrote for Spider-Man at some point. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he wrote for Daredevil, or he wrote a Daredevil like one shot or something like that.
Because I know he was writing a Batman series that kind of just trailed off into nothing.
Yeah.
But because of what's happening basically now with him directing all these shows is that they want to pick that up again.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's happening.
Well, that's good for him.
Yeah.
I think, like what it shows, Kevin Smith is obviously such a fan of the source material, comic books and all that sort of stuff. So what he wants to do is he wants to try to get his hands involved in basically everything. And why wouldn't you? If you were a fan and you had as much pull or power or whatever as the name Kevin Smith would have in this, sort of universe, then why wouldn't you try to do it?
Oh, absolutely. Get your finger in every pie that you can.
Metaphorically.
Yeah,
don't go sticking your fingers in pies. It's rude.
Or you can. I don't bloody care.
All right. Let's move on from the CW.
Yes.
A little bit of Suicide Squad news. Actually, there's been a lot of Suicide Squad news. It's coming up to the point where the movie is coming out, so obviously the marketing is quite heavy right now.
Yeah, set photos, all that kind of shit.
All that sort of stuff. But one thing that has been kept like a fairly good secret is actually plot points.
Yes.
Which is surprising for a movie that is getting as much coverage as this one. I think it was the most talked about movie or upcoming movie on Twitter.
Right, really?
Yeah, like out of all the superhero movies, this is the one that was generating the most chatter. And that's great, but they've somehow managed to hide the major plot points. What I'm trying to get at is we've got a couple of things. So we now know Suicide Squad will officially be set after the events of Batman vs Superman.
Really?
Yep. I was under the impression at least the Batman scenes might have been flashbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they still might be.
Well, not necessarily, because the Joker will feature in current continuity, not just flashbacks.
Right.
Yep. So he'll definitely appear. I think the technology that is powering their collars, is from Wayne Tech.
Right.
So it's likely that that Batman will become involved in current continuity. I would say because they're not just looking at Joker through flashbacks through the Harley Quinn origin story.
Yep.
They're actually looking at his attempts to kind of get his girl back, as it were.
Right.
Right. So regardless of what the Suicide Squad are trying to do, which is, like save the world from said issue that they're having at current time that Amanda Waller has tasked them to fix. He's basically, I don't really give a fuck about that. I just want my woman back. So
Interesting.
then he goes for it. And good on him, Love is grand, isn't it?
That is.
It is. So that's pretty cool.
That is. Iron Man.
Yes.
Got some Iron Man news.
We've got some Iron Man news. We've got some Iron Man comic news.
Yes.
Not something we usually report on news-wise, but I thought this one was pretty interesting because it appears we will have a new Iron Man, Iron Woman.
Iron Girl.
Iron Girl. Yep. It's going to be in the form of Riri Williams will be her name. Now, if anyone is actually currently reading the Civil War II storyline, or any of the Invincible Iron Man or anything like that, you'll have a bit of an idea of who she is. Most people were thinking that she might replace... Okay, how do I do this? Spoilers? Yeah. Major spoilers. Major spoilers for the Civil War II storyline if you haven't read it. Look, James Rhodes, a.k.a. War Machine, does die. And a lot of people thought that that Riri Williams would effectively be replacing that character.
Yeah.
So I guess to put it into some sort of perspective, she's kind of like a 15-year-old MIT student, like 15, but at MIT. Genius level intellect, has created her own sort of like Iron Man armor, in a sense. But she also managed to override one of Tony Stark's suits themselves and fly off in it and stuff like that. So so it garnered the attention initially of James Rhodes, who brought her to the attention of Tony Stark, and it would now seem that she will actually be the replacement Iron Man at the end of Civil War II. Which leaves people to speculate, is Tony Stark going to die?
I don't think he will.
You don't think so?
No, because in the comics, isn't Stark Industries really struggling financially? Because he is basically taking too much time away from the business for Iron Man duties.
Yeah, but I guess in the Civil War II storyline, though, which again revolves around Iron Man because he just loves getting himself into some shit. It's kind of, he's coming to a head against not only Captain Marvel, but the Inhumans as a race. And it seems that, I also don't think he's going to die, let's be honest. I don't think he's going to die, but I think he will step aside. I think he'll retire.
Could you imagine what would happen to the internet if Tony Stark died and Captain America's a Nazi?
Look, it would not be good.
I think DC comic sales will go through the roof and people will just convert.
Yeah, can I just say, like, just flipping onto that whole Captain America Hydra agent story.
Yeah.
Just briefly. I don't want to get too involved in it, but it's actually really good. So if people want to take the time to genuinely read it, it's, Steve Rogers, Captain America. Do yourself a favor and read it, because regardless of all the controversy and the hype surrounding the fact that the guy said Hail Hydra, the storyline is actually pretty freaking cool. Nick Spencer's done a really good job.
Do you want to talk a little bit of spoiler talk about that?
If you want me to.
Well, we can touch on it because...
I like touching on it.
Yeah, you do. Here's your spoiler warning.
Yeah.
He's controlled by Red Skull from the...
Kind of.
Isn't he?
Yeah, kind of. It's not that he's controlled. It's effectively... It's a bit of a convoluted storyline in the sense that... So, there is a living embodiment of a Tesseract. Called Cubic. Right. And Cubic has effectively... has the power to change anybody's reality or what they deem their reality. Right. So effectively what has happened is the Red Skull has taken this little, like basically in the form of a little girl, like I think she's like an 8-year-old girl. He's taken her under his wing. He's basically indoctrinated her into the Hydra regime by teaching her that this is the best way of life, and this is the way that people will get on, and all that sort of stuff, making her genuinely believe that this is the way to go. So then he essentially gets her to change Steve Rogers' complete reality, as it were. It's a little bit more detailed than that, but that's effectively what happens.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so so Steve Rogers, Captain America, is old. He's lost like his powers, all that sort of stuff. She comes along. She fixes him, makes him young again, makes him powerful, all that sort of stuff, and he returns as Captain America, right? So in doing that, she has also effectively helped him by changing his entire reality and making him believe that he has always been an agent of Hydra.
Right,
the entire time, because according to her, that is the best way to be.
Yeah.
Because she has been, essentially, brainwashed, as it were, by the Red Skull.
Right. I might have to actually give that a read and just not skim what I've seen on the internet.
Yeah. Actually do yourself a favor. Like, it's only 2 issues in. But I think Nick Spencer is onto something.
Yeah.
So check it out.
That's good. It's better than your standard bloody story. Good guy versus bad guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's going to bring us to the weekly wrap, the segment where we wrap up all the week's TV action.
All the week's TV action. So that for us this week is one show, Preacher.
Yeah.
Because we were under the impression that Outcast was back. Outcast is actually back now, tonight, or tomorrow, I think. I'm not really sure. But as we record, basically,
yes,
it has come back. So we'll have to play catch-upsies next week.
Does that mean we do a double?
No.
No?
No. But because basically by the time we record again next week, we're only going to have one episode because the next episode will drop when we record again.
There you go.
So we're always going to be kind of like an episode behind.
Yeah.
Unless...
That's all right. I don't think anyone's actually watching that show.
You've already copped a bit of flack.
Yes, I
have. On the internet.
Yes.
About your views on Outcast. So, yes, we will 100% love every minute of what we do when we review it, okay?
We'll try to.
Excellent. So let's talk about Preacher.
Yes. Episode titled Sundown. Jesse learns about Genesis. Fior and DeBlanc get their asses kicked by Seraphim, is it?
A Seraphim.
A Seraphim.
Yeah,
and
it's a higher level angel.
Oh, is that what it is?
Uh-huh.
Oh, there you go. And Arseface apparently goes to hell.
Does he?
Jeez.
What
a bloody ending.
Yeah, that was actually pretty good. Look, for me, I reckon this is probably the best episode of the season.
Oh, hands down. I friggin' loved it.
I think, all right, let's break it down. Let's talk about the first kind of 15 minutes because that was brilliant. So what we get is a really good detailed explanation of what exactly is going on with Jesse. So he's in the diner where we kicked off where we finished the last episode.
Yeah.
He's back. He's still in the diner with Fior and DeBlanc, and they kind of go into a bit more detailed explanation as to what's happened. And we find out that Genesis is actually the offspring of an angel and a devil who got together and, bumped uglies.
Did the nasty,
as angels and devils are not supposed to do. And that has created this offspring, this being that is all powerful, apparently.
Yes.
Yeah. So then basically what it leads to is probably one of the best scenes of television that I've seen in quite some time.
Easy. That was brilliant.
Yeah. So the whole, if you haven't seen it, or if you're not watching the show but you're listening to us and you're wondering, should I get involved? Get involved just for this at least.
Just this episode.
Because it was really, really well done. And what we're talking about is, so this is essentially the whole showdown between Fior and DeBlanc, who basically say that they're kind of lower level angels.
Yeah.
And they're the guardians of Genesis. Yeah.
You think that would be a pretty high job?
Well, you would think so, considering, but considering they keep it in a coffee can... I don't think,
Yeah, they got a low budget up there in heaven, apparently.
I don't know if anybody is actually taking it seriously, because for all these people that are after it, these seraphims and, the angels that want, order, to just leave it there in a coffee can.
Yeah.
Anyway. They're the guardians of this, of Genesis, and basically a seraphim arrives, and what entails... is a brilliant fight scene.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So basically, anytime one of them dies,
they come back to life.
Yeah, they either come back to life or they just respawn, as it were, in either exactly the same location at instantly, or in a slightly different location in a little bit of time.
Yeah.
So then it's Fjord de Blanc, a seraphim in the form of a middle-aged woman.
Yeah.
Jesse just kicking the shit out of each other. For ages, and bodies pile up in this hotel room, and just shits everywhere.
That's the best part of that.
It's so good, and the scene with the hole in the wall, as it sort of comes back, and then there's more bodies on the floor, and then it disappears again, comes back, and there's more.
Yeah, and you hear the guys calling out, "Kill him, Jesse! Kill me, Jesse!" It's great
because that's the only way they can come back. They have to die, to be able to come back. So then they finally get to a point where they're finally restraining the seraphim because they don't want to kill it because they don't want it to come back.
Yeah.
So they finally restrain it, and then Cassidy just walks through the door, bang, shoots it in the head. And
just
he's like, no worries, fellas.
No questions asked.
No questions asked. There is literally probably 40 bodies just in this hotel room. And he just walks in, shoots it, fucks it up for everyone. Because obviously this thing comes back, and then it continues.
Yeah,
and it's great.
Best opening scene of TV I've ever seen. I'm going to say
ever seen.
That's a big call. Of the year.
Yeah, look, it was really well done. I guess my only problem with it is that it did tend to dip a little bit after this. You had this fantastic sort of 10 to 15 minute intro.
Yeah,
and then the rest of the show was good. Don't get me wrong, it was really good. But to have that, and then it kind of just dipped a little bit in quality.
Yeah, right. So you think it peaked too early?
Peaked too early, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Like, imagine ending on something like that, and then you're like, fuck yeah.
Yeah. Mind you, the way this episode did end was fantastic, but we'll get to that.
We will get to that. So basically, I think what it comes down to is Fior and DeBlanc have essentially told Jesse that they want it back.
Yeah.
They want Genesis back. They need it back. They can't basically go back to heaven until they get it back, and they need to have it under control. It's too powerful a power.
Yeah.
To for one man to keep. And Jesse's kind of like, well, actually, you know what? Fuck you.
I'm keeping
it. This is kind of like a gift from God. He still believes it's kind of like his gift from God.
Yeah. And if he wants it, he has to come and get it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was fantastic, because you said that's how the comics lead off.
Well, sort of. It's kind of, it's more God abandons his post in heaven.
Yeah.
And Jesse sets out to find him, to make him answerable for doing that, and B, all the other troubles of the world and stuff like that. Like, what type of God puts his people through that?
Yeah.
But it looks like, that that could be a way that they go. But I think it's really good that he's kind of, it has done that. I guess it's kind of leading into that is what I'm trying to say. But I think one thing that we see, it's almost like Jesse has kind of been, I don't want to say corrupted, but kind of blinded, maybe, by his own power.
Yeah. No, it definitely seems like that, doesn't it?
Because,
he's taking charge without any care.
Yeah, without any fear of any repercussions.
Yeah,
because he genuinely believes that it is, it's God's will.
Yeah, that's it. It's 100% right. There's nothing wrong with this.
Yeah. So, Genesis is his, basically, regardless of regardless of what happens. And, I guess that leads into the ending, where he, it's kind of like a little bit of an uncomfortable fight with Eugene or Arseface.
Yeah.
Because, this is a kid that, regardless of his appearances, you've got to love him. He's such a nice kid.
Yeah, he's got the kindest soul, I guess, out of anyone in this show.
Yeah.
He's so remorseful for what he's done.
Exactly. And he's also, he's kind of like, he's basically telling Jesse that it's not his right to essentially force people to follow God. They need to be able to want to do it themselves. Yeah. And so they get into a bit of a fight, and effectively Jesse screams at him, "Go to hell."
Yeah. And you hear this, I know, is it like
the earth open?
Yeah, like a rumbling.
Yeah,
and
that sort of
he's
thing.
Gone. You see his little flyer floating down.
Yeah, so has he actually gone to hell? it would be an exaggeration, I think, of the powers from the comics.
Yeah.
But I think for a TV show it works.
Yeah.
Like I think, to have like these grand powers that are like actual literal manifestations of his word, not just commands.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, yeah.
Well, I was about to say that this is really taking what his power is to another level.
Well, yes. Essentially, if he has actually just cast someone to hell,
Yeah.
that has massive ramifications on everything.
I can only imagine how messed up that kid's going to be if he comes back. And I'm sure he's going to.
Oh, he will have to. But I just, like, how?
Yeah. How do you communicate with someone who is in hell?
Yeah, I don't know.
Let alone tell them what to do.
Yeah, I don't know. One thing, and we didn't touch on this, but I wanted to touch on it, but we didn't. There's a section when kind of we're going back to the hotel. I've got to backtrack.
Oh, right.
I've got to backtrack so we can go back to the whole Fiora and DeBlanc thing and all that sort of stuff. So they're essentially begging Jesse to give it back, and Jesse's kind of like, nah, gets in his truck and off he goes.
Yeah.
He's like, it's mine. And then, I think it might have been Fiora might have been the one who says, oh, well, there's always the other option. And then DeBlanc's like, no, not going to do that sort of thing.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that is them talking about unleashing the Saint of Killers.
Oh.
Yes. So hopefully that happens.
Yeah, you see, because I had no idea what they were talking about. I knew it had to be something good.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, for what, if they're trying to keep it, some sort of like somewhat close to the source material.
Yeah.
Then to me, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about actually unleashing the Saint of Killers and getting him to go after Jesse to basically kill him to bring it back.
Damn.
Which is going to be awesome.
Yeah, that is.
But we haven't even seen the end of that dude's origin story yet, so we'll, it's going to happen at some point, but not just yet.
Yeah.
What else happened?
So,
other stuff happened.
Other stuff happened, actually. One of the little sub-stories to this episode, there seems to be a love square.
A love square?
Yeah, a love square going on.
A little bit of a love square.
With Tulip, Cassidy, Jesse, and Emily.
Emily, the church girl.
Yes, I was going to say, for those who don't know, Emily's the volunteer.
Jesse's assistant, church assistant, whatever they're called.
Actually, could this go into another offshoot? Because isn't Emily in a relationship with the mayor?
Well, kind of.
Yeah.
So what's a 5-sided thing?
Pentagon.
Yeah, of course it is. So a pentagon, a love pentagon.
Yeah.
That's nice. So yeah, obviously Tulip and Cassidy have hooked up. Now this was interesting because she didn't actually seem to be, when they had their first interaction, she didn't really seem to be as against it as she seemed to be when they were actually, hooking up in the car.
Yes, I noticed that.
Like it actually, it's kind of like, I would have thought that it would have been like, oh, get away from me, blah, 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 sort of thing, whatever. But she actually genuinely seemed like she might have been, a little bit not keen, but, what's the word? Like, not as, well, basically just not as against it as she was in the first place. She's even, like, helps to...
Yeah, not uninterested.
Yeah, so she even, like, kind of helps to hide him when Jesse comes and all that sort of stuff. So it was interesting.
Yeah, actually, Tulip is, like, quite interesting in this whole relationship sense because the ways that she just busts into Emily's house and says, stop fucking around, basically, with my boyfriend. Yeah. And she almost looks like she's on the verge of tears.
Yeah, like a genuine crazy person.
Yeah.
But I guess it does go to show that, that's how attached she is to Jesse, which makes her little tryst, I guess, with Cassidy even the more stranger.
Yes.
Stranger? More strange?
More strange?
More strange? Whatever it is. I know English. Yeah, so and then you're right. So obviously Emily has a thing for Jesse, but she's also got a thing with the mayor, who seems like he might be in a little bit of a shit creek with no paddle.
Yeah.
And he's up it. What I'm trying to say is up shit's creek without a paddle.
I know what you're trying to say here, but and what you're referring to, obviously, is his cover-up of Quincannon's murder.
Yeah, so for those of you who have seen the last episode kind of finished with Quincannon kind of shooting for people dead.
Yeah.
For like what are they called?
Environmentalists.
Yeah. So she's shooting them dead. This kind of episode, the mayor, what's his name? London? I don't know.
Couldn't tell you.
am I just thinking of the mayor of London?
You might be.
Anyway, I don't know. So the mayor, anyways, like, he goes to Jesse and is a little bit, I need to do something bad, but it's for the greater good sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it turns out what he's doing is covering up said murder.
Yes.
By having them having the bodies put into a torched car or into a car and have it overturned and torched and all that sort of stuff. I'm no CSI guy, but wouldn't those bodies, correct me if I'm wrong, but wouldn't those bodies, regardless of being torched to all hell, wouldn't they exhibit some sort of signs of mass shotgun trauma?
You would think so. I mean, I'm no CSI either.
Aren't you?
We need a Barry Allen up in here.
One of us needs to be a CSI.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
But you would think there would be some kind of hole
right
where these pellets have gone in.
Right.
Because he was quite close.
He was quite close, and it was quite a powerful shotgun.
Yeah.
And look, that might come back.
It might.
We don't know. That might actually come back, but that's kind of where we left the episode, on that little bit of a cliffhanger, I guess, as it were. What did you rate it? Oh, was there anything else you want to talk about before we rate it?
Nah, I think we've really covered everything that was in this. Just Cassidy. He's such a scene stealer.
He is.
Every time. I love the bloke.
I do struggle sometimes to actually... it'd be good if they kind of had like ironic subtitles, like where you don't really need subtitles for most of what he says, but it's kind of like, I've seen some interviews on TV where they've got some English people, and because of how thick their accent is, depending on where they're from, they actually have subtitles.
Yeah, right.
Like why not that? Actually have subtitles every time he speaks. For the people like me that can't actually catch every word that he says.
No, that's. I guess that's a fair point.
Because it's especially when he goes on his little rants and he gets obviously overly excited. I genuinely struggle to keep up.
Yeah, right.
One thing I did catch though is his little quip about when he found out that the entity was called Genesis. His little quip about it being named after the bloody band was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was good.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Wrap it up.
Yeah. Let me rate it. I'm going to give it a. I really like this episode.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 4.5.
4.5.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's worthy of that. I would have gave it 4.75 almost.
Ooh, why didn't you?
It's too much.
Just too much, man.
It's too much.
Just too much.
There's
no
too
room
much
to
power.
move.
Yeah.
There's just no room to move from there. That's fair. Justifications for your score, maybe?
That opening scene. I really enjoyed it. The ending.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. In the middle, kept me going.
Yeah.
Almost the perfect episode.
Really?
Yeah.
Big calls.
Take note, Outcast.
Yeah, right. So for me, I agree. I will give it. I will agree with you. I'll give it a 4.5. My thing for I kind of touched on it earlier. Start brilliant, massively strong.
Yeah.
Ending pretty good too. In between bits, kind of dipped a little bit.
Yeah, right.
So yeah.
Fair enough.
That's the only thing for me. That's the only thing that let it down. Is just it just dropped a little bit in quality. But again, I think it's because it peaked right at the start. But it peaked high.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, where can you go when you start your episode that good?
Well, that's exactly right.
That's the thing.
That could be detrimental to your episode.
Yeah, it can be. Build up to that. Hey, how many episodes is this season?
I want to say 10.
Shit.
That's actually true.
Really?
I sounded like I wasn't sure, but it's 10.
What episode number was that? Number 5?
No, 6.
Oh shit, we're getting pretty close to the end.
We are. So this is actually heading into its final act. So we've only got 4 episodes left. And it's not taking a break, which is good. It does return next week. I don't actually have the episode name. I'm not that prepared, but it does come back next week.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah,
I think I have it.
Do you?
Yeah, it's called He's Gone.
Oh, well, there you go.
There you go. That's going to do it for TV shows. We'll talk about Outcast again next week.
Next week
when it comes back to our TVs. I guess.
Yes. It's generally where we watch TV shows.
Some places around the world have got that episode.
Yeah, it's weird. It has dropped in some areas, but it's not here.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the States. I don't think it's the UK.
No.
Maybe Europe.
Yeah, I think Europe's got it, and that's about it.
Which is very strange.
I think the 4th of July long weekend.
Yeah, maybe.
Might have buggered it up over in the States. Over here, we're just bloody useless.
Well, yeah. We always get everything last.
Yeah.
But I think, technically you can get out there and you can download it on the,
on the web.
On the dark web.
On the dank web.
On the dank web. But, home, you don't play that game.
Yeah.
So we'll watch it next week.
Yeah.
Cool.
Keep it clean.
Men with power obey neither policy nor principle. No one is different. No one is neutral.
If Superman were here, what would you want to say to him?
That my family too had dreams. To look him in his eye and ask him how he decides which lives count and which ones do not.
There's a new kind of mean in him. He is angry and he's hunting.
I didn't kill those men if that's what they think.
This is what makes you such a good reporter. Stuff like this still shocks you.
I'm older now than my father ever was. This may be the only thing I do that matters.
So falls the house of Wayne.
God is all-powerful. He cannot be all good.
The world only makes sense if you force it to.
Men like that, words don't stop him. You know what stops him? A fist.
You were never a god. You were never even a man.
That dream is all some people have. It's all that gives them hope.
Now God is good as dead.
Men made a world where standing together is impossible.
We will. We have to.
Bam.
So late last week, iTunes. Get your shit together, you guys. So late last week, iTunes released the long-awaited Ultimate Edition of Batman vs Superman as an extra when you purchase the theatrical release for $24.99.
Yes, except there's a bullshit thing with that.
There is a bullshit thing with it. You can watch the theatrical release, no problems, but you have to stream the Ultimate Edition.
Yes.
So if you don't have a good internet connection, folks, you may struggle.
A 3-hour movie can easily turn into a 3.5-hour movie.
Yes, I have a very good internet connection where I live, and it still stopped and loaded 3 times throughout the 3-hour movie.
I was pretty lucky. It only did it twice for me.
Oh, well, there you go. So, first off, I guess before we get into this, a big fuck you to iTunes for doing that. But also, not fuck you to iTunes because there's a lot of things that you do very, very well.
Yes.
Yeah, we use you all the time. So, obviously we had to go back and rewatch it because it did add an extra half an hour of goodness into the Batman vs Superman theatrical edition. And it seems, it might be giving people a sense of what Zack Snyder's true vision for it initially was.
Yeah, and we asked the questions. Did it live up to its expectations?
Yep.
Did it fix the numerous plot holes in the original release?
Yep.
Does everyone love Zack Snyder now?
Maybe.
And and these are the things we are willing to sit through 3 hours of a movie to figure out for you.
Yeah, a movie that we've already sat through 2.5 hours of.
Yeah.
And seen already.
That's right.
But we wanted to because this is a big, big thing. And I think the best thing to look at is it still received fairly mixed reviews upon release.
Yeah, that's right. You're getting people who say, yes, this is perfect. It's fixed the film. It's bloody well done. We're so sorry.
Yeah. And then you're getting other people that are saying, well, yeah, it does fix a few things, but ultimately the movie is still lacking a very coherent plot, and also some other things suck about it too. But, basically, not my words.
Yeah. And that's it. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. That's why you have one.
Exactly. So, so we thought we would go back and rewatch it, and we're going to talk about the pros and cons and all that sort of stuff of the new movie, the Ultimate Edition.
Yeah.
Rather than rehashing, stuff that everybody knows.
Yeah.
Kind of.
And
we probably will anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
There's a very good chance.
So, we'll do this how we normally do. You go first with your pros. I'll follow.
We'll have some pros and some cons. I did ask the people on Twitter.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The tweeters. what they thought. We've got a few responses back. Shane Gibbo Gibson at That Geek Caveman said, I really enjoyed the cinema release, but Ultimate Edition was another step up. More explain, more action, and more Easter eggs.
Yep.
Which is not
not wrong.
Yeah. A young man by the name of Kade Moya. Moya? Am I pronouncing that right? Is it
yes,
Moya?
I think you are saying that right.
He basically said that just noticed C.T. Fletcher is in Batman vs. Superman. That's a mean shanking.
Yeah, mate. He should have been in the original film.
Well, I don't really understand. And, okay, I will get to it at some point. But I don't understand why some of these scenes were cut. It's kind of my point.
Yeah.
Like, C.T. Fletcher aside and all that sort of stuff. If you don't know who C.T. Fletcher is, he's just this incredibly insane, intense, fitness guy on the internets.
He's got
arms the size of my head.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So basically, he is in this movie, very recognizable by his big bushy beard and all that sort of stuff. But the whole scene itself probably could have been left in there because it kind of,
played into
the whole thing.
The myth, the why get branded by Batman?
Anyway,
yeah, save it.
Save it. So Peter Bauer at Oita B, I want to say, and he's one of these guys that actually interacts with us a lot, and it's really cool. So I don't actually know if I'm saying your name right, so let me know if I am. But it is Oeterb at that. He said, I thought ... I hate not having internet to download it. Because he is actually without internet.
He's having a tough time, isn't he?
He's having a tough week at the moment. No internet.
Didn't he bloody say he used all his data in like 3 days?
Yeah, something like that.
You've got an internet addiction, mate.
Stay off your phone, mate. And also we had another GR3252. I think I read that right. His name is Garrett, anyway. He's basically said, I absolutely love the movie. When I first saw it the first time, I was kind of like, meh. But now I'm like, that's the shit. So,
I love that tweet.
Yeah, well, but it's good.
That is good.
So people are over, most of them are impressed, some are not. But, it's not going to be for everyone, is it?
That's right.
So how do you want me to talk about my pros first?
Yeah, you can go first.
Okay. So talking about the pros for this particular movie, obviously talking about the Ultimate Edition, the 3-hour length movie, just to clarify. I thought it was much better overall in regards to the plot, even though the plot still had some major issues. I think the biggest thing was the pacing, which is weird considering you've just added half an hour of movie onto a 2.5 hour movie.
Yep.
The pacing actually seemed a lot better. And it filled in a lot of the stories that initially didn't make a lot of sense or weren't given the time.
And I think that's why the pacing probably felt a little bit better. It's the stories rolled
It's more coherent.
Bit.
It's kind of like, oh, yeah, shit, that actually does make sense.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing, or one of the biggest ones they fixed was the whole African scene at the start, which is essentially the whole framing of Superman, as it is.
Yeah.
It kind of made a lot more sense. They went into a lot more detail as to why, or as to how it might actually affect, okay, I guess how it might actually make people believe that Superman was capable of doing this.
Yes.
Because kind of like the first time I saw it in the theatrical edition, I was kind of like, no one is going to believe that Superman just came along and shot a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially how they played it off.
That's exactly right.
That's essentially how they played off that storyline in the first one. Or that's how they made it seem. But this one made a lot more sense. They go into a lot more detail. They set it up. So it's kind of like they've done it purposely because they know that Superman is going to come and save Lois. So let's kill a couple of villagers. Let's make it look like he just didn't give a shit. All he wanted to do was save Lois. And, it makes a whole bunch more sense.
Yes.
Which includes Lois's whole investigation of, the whole mystery bullet that she found that was in her diary or whatever.
Yeah.
Made a lot more sense with that as well, because that was kind of it was weirdly brushed aside in the first showing. And it was kind of okay, so, she has this bullet and she finds out it's from Lex Luthor. And that's it. But in this, it goes into a lot more detail, including, a visit to a laboratory technician, all that sort of stuff, which is pretty cool. So it's just kind of those gaping, major gaping holes have been filled somewhat.
Yeah.
But there are still some issues. one thing I did like about this is it gives Clark Kent himself, so not Superman so much, but it gives Clark Kent a lot more time to shine. So it kind of allows him to express like a little bit of emotion. You see a little bit more interactions with him and Lois. You see some more interactions with him and Perry White. You actually get a sense that he really, is into his job as an investigative journalist, and he really wants to get to the bottom of the issue of the Bat in Gotham and all that sort of stuff. And he gets to do that. He gets to actually go to Gotham and go off, off his own case a little bit.
Yeah.
And do a little bit of digging. I think it still lacks a little bit of love for Superman, and I'll get to that.
Okay.
But it does express a lot more, or it does sort of have a lot more of an interest in Clark Kent anyway. It gives him a chance to really sort of, build on that particular character. You do get a little bit more, I guess, of a look into the character of Superman himself and the struggles with his humanity. I think there are some things that I will talk about, strangely enough, in my cons. But there are some things that happen that didn't happen in the theatrical release that give you a sense of why he is struggling so much.
Yeah, right. Okay. So it's more so it's a con because it wasn't in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I feel that.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And look, hopefully they flesh this out a little bit more. And they give him. We get to have a bit more of a sense of, why he's really struggling sort of like in the future movies, or, some redemption or whatever.
Yeah.
But for me, Clark Kent, yes. Superman, not so much.
Right.
Yeah. And I guess you also get a little bit more of an understanding of Lex's plot to turn Superman and Batman against each other. So it's still very convoluted and messy at times, but it makes a little bit more sense with Lex kind of setting up the branded prisoners for murder and making sure that Clark sees it. I don't think you see a lot of that in the first in the first movie. It's kind of almost like, oh, here's a newspaper saying that branded prisoners are dying in prison.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's it. But it actually goes into much more detail as to the fact that this is actually Lex Luthor setting these prisoners up to die.
That's right.
In order to get Superman to effectively put a stop to the Batman. And, obviously you get a much greater sense of Lex orchestrating the whole African mess and the destruction at the Capitol Hill and all that sort of stuff, and making sure that Bruce Wayne was involved.
Yeah.
More so than you did in the first movie. I think Affleck as Batman still kicks ass. Didn't really give a lot more to Batman itself in this edition because, I guess a lot of people are kind of saying the theatrical release was kind of like a Batman movie. Right. The Ultimate Edition was more of a Superman movie. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Is that how you see it or no?
I see it the story of the two.
Okay.
I don't see it as a one-sided thing. And I think you have to be naive to really think that. Because it's not branded a Batman movie. It's not branded Superman 2.
No, but it's not about that. It's more, the focus of the first movie was probably more on Batman, trying to bring down Superman than it was Superman trying to bring down Batman.
Yes.
Like there are basically there are arguments that this whole movie has effectively changed the tone and turned it from kind of Superman being the potential bad guy to kind of Batman being the bad guy.
Yeah.
In the sense of he actually just doesn't give a shit what happens anymore as long as he brings Superman down.
Yeah.
So there's an argument for that.
Yeah, that's fair.
But regardless of all that, Ben Affleck in this movie, again, fucking brilliant. I still claim him in 2 viewings to be the best on-screen Batman we've had.
Yep, definitely.
I think, though, we do see quite a bit more of Bruce Wayne in the sense of we get a bit more of an understanding of his kind of beaten down sort of world weary psyche.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. He's kind of like, he's been dealing with this shit for so long. It's kind of like
it's broken him down.
It's kind of broken him down in the sense you see him like, he's using painkillers, excessively drinking, sleeping with random women. So basically having a brilliant time.
Yeah, he's living the life.
He's living the life. But you can obviously tell that, that it is actually kind of beaten him down to a point that he's kind of just like, fuck, I don't know if I can keep doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's good. And I think we didn't really get a sense of that in the first movie, but we do get much more of a sense of that in this one.
Yeah, definitely. In that first movie, you know that he's a a battled Batman.
Yeah.
You know, he's done his duty for a while.
For some time, 20 years, he does mention.
Yeah. And this one, it shows that he's bloody stuffed.
Yeah. He's kind of fucking had it.
Yeah.
Gal Gadot, I don't really. There's no pros.
Swoon.
She's just in it. Look, I guess I was hoping for a little bit more action. But you know, why the hell you delete a scene with her in it anyway?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why. Jeremy Irons was also still really good, and we also got in a scene that didn't necessarily need to happen because it's kind of more like a branching out into the Justice League movie, probably.
Yeah.
But there, you know, we got to see Steppenwolf from Apocalypse and the three mother boxes, kind of, you know, in front of Lex Luthor, which was cool, but maybe not necessary for this particular movie.
Right. Okay.
Well, don't you think, like, you know, that's kind of like an after credits scene?
Yes.
Or something like that.
That would have been a brilliant after credits scene.
Yeah, because that obviously helps to lead into, you know, the Justice League movie and all that sort of stuff, because we already know that there are three mother boxes and, you know, they're all over the place and whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so this would have been better like a Marvel style, I guess, end credit scene, rather than just a random sort of stumbling across of Lex Luthor in this ship by, you know, some guys, some security guys or whatever they were. Cool.
Yeah.
So overall, better plot, better story, better Clark Kent.
Yep.
Better Bruce Wayne. Ben Affleck's the man. Gal Gadot is beautiful. Jeremy Irons was cool.
Cool.
Yours.
All right. I'm going to agree with you on a lot of the stuff that you've already said.
Yeah.
But first off, you know, thank God for this edition. You know, it kind of makes all the puzzle pieces fall into place.
Yes.
You know, as you said, you know, the whole subplot of what happened in Africa is explained. Why it wasn't in the original really baffles me, because it's not that long of these extra scenes.
I know.
Maybe 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Why not include this? Because it really explains why everyone is out against Superman in this movie.
Exactly. So even the fact that they bring in, or they actually let you know at some point that Lex Luthor has paid off like an African villager to testify against Superman.
Yeah.
So it's not only the fact that they find these charred bodies that could have essentially been, you know, caused by his laser eyes or whatever.
Yep.
Or his heat vision, laser eyes, but his heat vision. But, you know, they also have somebody who was left alive who was testifying and saying that this is what happened. And that makes so much more sense.
It does. And is that bad editing? Is that bad direction? I don't know who to blame for that one.
Cade, I have it in my cons. I will touch on it. Let me tell you.
Okay, fantastic. We get to see so much more Superman / Clark.
Yes.
You know, we see him out on the beat doing some reporting.
Yep.
But this makes me want to ask a question to the listeners.
Okay.
Do they in this universe?
So this the cinematic universe?
Yeah, the cinematic universe.
Yeah.
Do you care about Clark as an alter ego? Or do you only care about the Superman half of his character?
Okay.
Does the Clark Kent in this world really have a purpose?
Right. That's your question?
Yeah.
That's your actual question?
Yeah, and that's what I want to ask people. We got to see Clark's story in the first movie.
Yeah.
Which is great. But is that all we need to see of it? Do you care that he's reporting on X, Y, and Z in this universe? Or do you only care about him as the Superman character saving us from X, Y, and Z?
Right. For me, if I can answer your question, you know, before we throw it out to the listeners, for me, I do. I think it kind of gives a little bit more of, you know, of his human side.
Yep.
Superman sometimes is so hard to actually relate to. Because he is essentially a god. This all powerful being that kind of none of us are. But Clark Kent himself, you know, he actually, like, it you know, his relationship with his mother, like all that sort of stuff, his relationship with Lois, everything, his co-workers, all that sort of stuff, that is the crux of who he is as a human. And I don't think if we just focused on Superman, I don't think we'd see it as much. I think what we'd be left with is we'd be left with this almost completely unrelatable character.
Yeah, okay, no, that's fair enough. But you also got to remember that Lois doesn't see Clark as Clark.
Right.
She knows he's Superman. So she's already, on another level of connection with him.
That's fine, but the viewer doesn't.
Right.
Right?
Okay, no, that's fair. That's why I'm asking.
All right.
Only because it takes me into my next point where people can connect with Bruce Wayne a lot more.
Right.
He's a much more interesting character than what Clark will be and will ever be, in my opinion.
Okay. Is he, though? When you break it down to what Bruce Wayne essentially is, which is, like, if you're talking about Bruce Wayne, the Bruce Wayne character should be vastly removed from his alter ego of Batman.
Yeah.
So realistically, he should be like this fun-loving, kind of party guy.
How he's normally shown to be.
Yeah.
But I think this, and I'm only staying in this movie universe, so keep that in mind.
Okay.
But I think in this movie, the Batman character, the Bruce Wayne character is a little bit more engaging than the Clark Kent. And, we get a more personal and candid look at the daily life of Bruce Wayne.
Yep.
And like you said, he is battling some inner demons. He's got the drugs, he's got the booze, and he's got the women.
Do you think this Bruce Wayne is kind of at a point where he doesn't care if people, might somehow make the connection that he is Batman? Because he's not really trying to hide the fact that he is an older, brooding, kind of world-weary guy anymore.
I just think he doesn't want to connect with the world anymore.
Okay.
Because when he shows up to Lex's fundraiser, they're kind of like, oh, it's Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
As in, it's implied that he hasn't been seen for quite some time.
Right.
So, I don't know if that answers your question at all. But
No?
But
it doesn't matter. But we will throw both of those questions out to everyone. Everyone listening, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. Do you think we need Clark? Is that your question?
Yeah.
Or do you care about Clark Kent as a character in these movies?
In this universe?
In these movies. That's the biggest thing to remember. Do you care about Clark Kent, or do you want to see more Superman? And do you think Bruce Wayne has given up on humanity?
Yeah. And the reason I say that is, he's obviously still deeply affected by the death of Robin.
Yes.
So keep that in mind.
Okay.
Wonder Woman. I agree with everything you said. What would have really topped off like this Ultimate Edition is if I got to see her flying in the sky.
Yeah.
That's
usually where you fly.
Well, right?
Right.
But it would have been fantastic. Is it implied that she can fly by the big jumping?
Yeah, you kind of get a bit of an idea of the fact that she might have some flying capabilities. Because she does travel quite some distance when she is fighting Doomsday.
Yes.
But you never see her outright fly.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And it just would have been, the cherry on top if I saw her flying around with Superman.
Yeah. That
would have been great.
Little known fact, the Ultimate Edition actually has the invisible jet in the background of this fight scene. You just can't tell because it's invisible. But fun fact, look it up. Yeah, it's real.
You're a dickhead, mate. And my last pro is the Steppenwolf scene.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. Why it was taken out, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But man, how you going to hide those mother boxes from me in the original edition?
Can I ask a question? And this might be a continuity problem.
Yeah.
Because when we're actually looking at or maybe I don't remember where it was placed in the film. But when we're looking at the Cyborg video,
yes.
Am I not right in the fact that they already have a mother box?
Yes.
Yet, why does Lex have 3 when we see Lex later with Steppenwolf?
Well, my only thing is
there more than 3?
Well, no, I think that one of the mother boxes is already attached to Cyborg. What you see there, I don't think they're actual mother boxes. I think it's just a projection.
Right.
To tell you there are 3.
To let him know that there are 3 out there.
Yeah.
And that might come into the next movie.
Yeah.
Right.
That's my understanding of it. So
that makes sense.
I believe there's 2 more mother boxes out there.
Yep. Okay, that makes sense. That clears that up for me. Cool.
So yeah, they're my pros.
Nice. Do you want to go straight into your cons?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
My number 1 con, is that the fact that we needed this edition to be released.
Yeah.
This should have been done in the cinemas. I'm no stranger to go see long movies.
Yeah, like it's not like we've never had a 3-hour long movie in the cinemas before, right?
That's right. You have a look. You got the Harry Potter movies.
Yep.
You got those Hobbit movies.
Yep. Those Hobbit movies.
Yeah. And Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. So Titanic was long as shit.
Yeah.
Dances with Wolves. I don't know. I'm just making movies. Passion of the Christ was pretty long.
Longest movie ever.
Yeah.
But this is it. Your audience will sit there for this.
Yeah. If your vision is true, then we will, yeah, you're right. You're essentially right. In the fact that, like, why?
Yeah.
Why not just do it?
That's right.
Continue.
An interesting note, though,
Yeah.
is that my partner didn't complain about how long this movie was.
Yeah.
And she's not a comic nerd.
Yeah, well...
She's just your generic moviegoer.
Just your my girlfriend is a generic moviegoer.
And I mean that in the nicest way possible, of course. But, she doesn't go in expecting this movie should be 2 hours. This movie should be 1.5 hours.
Yeah, and she's, not the ultimate fan of, like, any
That's
of this
right.
sort of stuff. And, yeah, like, mine too. The same thing. Didn't complain about the length at all. 3 hours long.
All she said was, oh, that was a bit of a long movie.
Yeah.
But didn't say, oh, fuck, that movie took fucking forever.
Which is testament to the improvement in the pacing.
Yes, it is. But in saying that, this movie did feel long to me. And I don't know if that's because I saw the original release and I was just looking for the extra scenes.
Right.
So I have a biased opinion on that.
Yeah.
So...
Imagine if you saw this first.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought it was long.
Yeah.
It's only because I've seen this scene, and I'm looking for those extra little bits.
Yeah, that's fair.
But it does make one thing obvious.
Yeah.
And that is Zack Snyder obviously has a real issue telling stories in an appropriate time frame.
Yeah.
I think one of our Twitter followers, and I will be shocked for not knowing this by you.
At Saturday Detention?
Was it him?
Yeah.
He mentioned that he also did this with Watchmen.
Which is very true.
Yeah, that required an extended edition. So we all know that Zack Snyder's kind of off the table now for telling these stories.
Yeah, you're right. He has, when you look at some of his older stuff, when you look at some of his not his older stuff, but his other movies,
yeah,
visually they're spectacular. Like where he really starts to break down is in his character development.
Yeah.
And I think initially, that's kind of like the problem that we've had. I'll get to a couple of them like in my cons, but it's just the whole character development there was a real breakdown. One in particular for me was Lex Luthor, which I'll talk about.
Yeah.
But I think, visually spectacular, but just lacking in that overall story, which is kind of, it's a shame because like I didn't mind like Man of Steel.
Yeah, I thought Man of Steel was great. I thought this movie was great as well. I think what Zack Snyder's doing is he's making the audience earn their characters.
Yep. Which
each to their own.
Yep.
But I think you can do it in a far quicker time frame and concentrate more on your story.
Yep.
Lex Luthor.
Yep.
Junior.
Yep.
Keep that in mind. It's Junior.
Yep.
Everyone, please remember that. I wasn't expecting anything different from him.
Okay.
He was still pretty lackluster, but I am praying that Bryan Cranston comes back on, comes on board for Lex Luthor Sr.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see what happens.
Maybe.
Probably not.
We'll see if he's doing any more bloody Power Ranger movies.
Yeah, look, I'm pretty sure we are, I don't want to say stuck with, but I'm going to say stuck with Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah, I think you're right. Doomsday.
Yep.
I would have liked a backstory.
Yeah.
Or...
where he grew up and who his parents were, like that sort
what
of
his
thing.
hobbies are.
Yeah.
No, it's more so, well, we hear the Kryptonian ship, how this is, say it's forbidden, it's blah, 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 all that shit.
Yeah.
Show us why.
Yeah.
Tell us why. There's obviously a history there.
Yeah. Can I just ask, how is it so easy for Lex Luthor to take control of this ship? Can you answer that for me? Like, I understand that he's like scaled the fingerprints off like Zod.
Yeah.
Right. But then if he's actually using those fingerprints to being as being identified as the commander of the ship, and then when he puts General Zod's body into the liquid or whatever, and then the ship's like, DNA detected as General Zod.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, shouldn't they at some point kind of go, well, hold on, security protocols. How the fuck is this happening?
Yeah. Captain of the ship's dead.
Yeah.
Just fucking shut it down.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean, though?
Yeah,
like
I do.
It's a little bit like that whole thing, and I agree with you completely. The whole thing, I was really hoping that they would do something more with it, because the first time I watched it, I'm like, this is all pretty shit. Like, this is all pretty, like, kind of rushed together to kind of make this happen.
Yeah.
And I was really hoping that they'd expand on it more to give us a little bit more of insight as to how it was done.
Well,
but they just never fucking did.
Yeah, and, they've got the knowledge of 100,000 civilizations.
Yeah.
They actually say that in the movie.
Yeah.
None of that is told.
Yep.
What? It's just it's bad storytelling.
Okay.
My last point.
Yep.
And it almost contradicts one of my pros.
Okay.
Okay. So.
All right. Just spit it out, Jim.
Yeah, I will. Now, it seems to me, a lot of scenes have been added to this movie that almost didn't need to be.
Right.
And this is where I'm going to contradict myself.
Right.
How I said I liked how we got to see more of Clark doing his job.
Yeah.
But there was some parts of it that we just didn't need to see. They didn't really have any purpose. It was kind of like they're dead-end scenes.
Yeah.
They didn't push the story. It was just like, meh.
See, I have a counterpoint.
Yeah, right.
To that. But I'll get to that. Don't you worry about that, champ.
Yeah?
Yeah. But I get what you're saying. I think like there's the scene, there's the mountain interaction with his dead dad, with the spirit of his dad, I guess.
Yeah.
Where he has a conversation with him or whatever. While not necessarily like it wasn't bad or anything like that, but it's kind of like, the only thing they extended on that was the fact that you actually see him starting to walk up the mountain.
Yeah, perfect example.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of like, oh, he's gone to go kill himself type of thing.
Yeah, that sort of thing, like, you probably don't need.
You already know he's on a fucking mountain.
Yeah, and I don't think the actual interaction with his dad really led to much.
No.
But, fair.
But yeah, it was just, there was some scenes in there, basically the point is, that didn't need to be.
Yeah.
It's basically just thrown in there for the sake of making this an extended edition.
Yeah, so I guess what you're saying is they would have been better off as an extra, as actual deleted scenes.
Yeah.
That you could go back and check or something like that, or just leave them.
Yeah, just leave them. You don't even need them as a deleted scene.
Okay.
And fuck, if you didn't have all these extra scenes, you could have just made this your bloody standard release.
Yeah. Cool.
I'm done.
All
That's
right,
it.
You're done. That wasn't so bad.
No.
Nice. So I guess if we're going to go into my cons, first thing is I 100% agree with you in the fact that I don't understand why this wasn't, the movie that came out in the first place. Watching this movie now actually makes you realize how messy the first movie was.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of things that do make a lot of sense now.
Yep.
To go back and watch the theatrical release, you're kind of like, what the fuck? And that's kind of where we were. Like, I think when we initially saw it, there were things that we loved, but there were some things that you're just like, well, how?
Yeah, why?
And, just make this movie your theatrical release. And I guess my point for the whole thing is that there were certain scenes that seemed to me were absolutely mind-boggling that they cut in the first place.
Yeah.
So, you're right in the sense with the African extended scene, why did any of that have to be cut out?
Yeah. Well, the fact that they even say Jimmy Olsen's name at the start, why'd that get cut?
The entire... Okay, so first off, the treatment of Jimmy Olsen ultimately is pretty bad.
Yeah, it's piss poor.
It's piss poor. Having him, a CIA agent and just die is pretty, for a character that is as... iconic, as Jimmy Olsen, like that's not great, but at least in this he got a little bit more screen time. But the whole thing just didn't need to be cut. But the most glaring one for me is after the explosion at Capitol Hill, I want to say the Capitol building.
Yeah.
So after the inquiry or whatever, where Superman goes and he's going to speak to the people and all that sort of stuff, and it explodes. That's all that happens in the first one.
Yep.
And you're like, what the fuck, man? Superman's just standing there in the fire and then he just pisses off. What you see in this is you see exactly what Superman would do. While he, might have been powerless to save people then, which is also a bit of a stretch for me, but while he might have been powerless to save people there, I think it's kind of... It shows exactly what Superman would do, and Superman would stay around and he would help people, and he would do absolutely everything he could to help people.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why you would remove that 30 seconds, why that ends up on the cutting room floor when it's so integral to the character of Superman that they're kind of just like, oh, you know what? Yeah, we don't need to show Superman helping people. It's like, fuck off, you actually do.
Yes.
Because that's exactly what he would do. So that made no sense for me. Any of the added scenes with Clark Kent, so I know you said that some of them weren't necessary, but I think for me, his interaction with the people in the apartment, first of all, gave him a real sense of how bad things were in Gotham under the control, and I'm using, inverted commas or whatever, of Batman. Because people, the old guy that he was talking to, he's basically saying, oh, don't go out after dark, because the Batman will get you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like regular people are afraid of Batman.
Yeah.
So he's a menace that needs to be stopped. And then when he meets the criminal that died in the prison, so the criminal that died in the prison, when he meets his wife, right, and she's holding the baby and all that sort of stuff, that whole thing, that whole interaction there, again, leads more into, justifying his actions as to why he wants to bring down the Batman.
Yep.
Rather than just reading a fucking newspaper and going, this guy's a bit of a menace because he branded this one dude. It's kind of like this whole thing, like he is actually destroying lives. There are people beyond the people that he is bringing down. And it's getting to a point where he's not just bringing down people.
He's bringing down families.
Yeah, and he's essentially implicit in their murders as such. So it actually adds so much value to Clark Kent's mission to bring down, or Superman's mission to bring down Batman.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely, you're correct, 100%.
And that also helps to clear up a little bit of the Lex's whole thing.
Yep.
In regards to like how he orchestrated the whole thing and made it happen. Which is why I think we needed the prison scene where you actually see the guy, get killed. Rather than having it implied that this is what's happening, you actually get to see it firsthand.
Yep.
And these are not like short scenes. Sorry, they're not long scenes. They're short scenes that could quite easily have been made.
Exactly. You put these in the movie, you add, 5 minutes?
Well, who knows? Half an hour in total.
Yeah.
But there was some that didn't need to be, and I'll get to that in a second. But, even the scene where Lois meets with Jenna Malone's character, who was cut initially, and there was all speculation as to who she was going to be. And it turns out she's a lab technician, potentially could work for Star Labs, because that's, a comic sort of, what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know, mate. You're telling the bloody story.
Anyway, but it's part of like her comic character.
Yeah.
I guess. Is a thing. I can't remember her name, unfortunately, but she is a technician that works for Star Labs. But that whole thing, it gives more of an understanding what this whole mystery bullet thing means and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I think the scene though with the ending for me, right, is still too long, and this actually added extra scenes into the ending.
Yes.
And I said the ending initially was too long.
Yeah.
It could have ended way, way before it did.
Yeah, this was what we said in the original review. This is something that just keeps ending and ending and ending.
Yeah, yeah.
You could have picked any point
to just stop it.
Yeah.
And finish it. But this actually added more into it. And it's kind of like, okay, no, come on now.
Yeah.
You can stop. We get it. That's fine. I want to talk about the absolute waste of Mercy Graves as a character, which is Lex Luthor's assistant / bodyguard.
Yep.
So played by Tao Okamoto. And I'm surprised we didn't touch on this in the first time we spoke about this movie. But it really, I guess for me, I was kind of like hoping that the Ultimate Edition would add some more value to her as a character.
Yeah.
But they didn't. And ultimately just an absolute waste of what is really a good character.
Can you correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't even think she said a single word in this movie.
I think she did have one line, or she might have had one or two lines.
Yeah.
But it wasn't much.
Well, that just shows you what a waste of a character. I can't even remember her value to the movie.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's exactly right. And as a character in the DC universe, man, like she's actually pretty cool and pretty loved. Lois Lane, overall, yes, she got some extra screen time and you kind of got a little bit more of an idea about her investigations and all that sort of stuff. But Lois Lane, to me, in this whole movie, was just a fucking roadblock for Superman. So he saves her right at the start. And that's what leads to this whole thing of him being kind of like, vilified. And, you know, did he not give a shit about anybody else? Because all he wanted to do was save Lois Lane. And who is he to decide who lives and dies, with the power that he has? Then he has to save her 2 more times in the movie. So he saves her when Lex pushes her off the building.
Yep.
He saves her then. And he saves her when she's drowning, trying to get the Kryptonian spear back, which she threw in the fucking water in the first place. So, for me, Lois Lane, as iconic as a character as she is, was fucking damsel in distress.
Yep.
Way too many times. Once, fine. 3 times in a movie, it's kind of like, is this what you're basing your plot around?
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I completely overthought that.
And I don't think we touched on it the first time we spoke about it either. But it did take a second watch for me to really pick up on that and go, hang on a second. Like, she's basically just, like, I'll do a little bit of investigating. Oh, I need to be saved now.
Yeah.
I'll do a little bit of investigating. Oh, I need to be saved now. I'm going to throw this thing in the water. Oh, I need to be saved now.
Yeah, but you have to think about Lois Lane as a character, even in the comics. That's kind of what she is.
Look, it does happen, but I mean, 3 times in the space of a 3-hour movie.
3 times in one movie is too much.
Yeah.
Once, twice, maybe, but yeah. I'm feeling you on that.
Little bit of a stretch. Lex Luthor, to me, look, after a second watch, I realized I really don't like Jesse Eisenberg's portrayal. I understand that like he was hampered by a bit of a weak plot point and some weak storytelling and possibly direction by Zack Snyder. Fine.
I think that's the big key there.
No, but ultimately it is his choice, isn't it? To play the character that, to portray the character that as he brings it to the screen. Like he's the one that kind of goes, this is the voice that I'm going to use. And this is, these are the mannerisms and all that sort of stuff. And yes, Zack Snyder could have pulled it up at any point, but didn't. But Jesse Eisenberg is the one that actually brought to life this character. People like when you talk about Tom Hardy as Bane and the voice that he used, that's his choice to do that. And, people have heard it and they've gone, well, fuck yeah, that's cool as shit. Other people have gone, well, that's crap. But Bane as a character as a whole in that movie was fantastic. And his portrayal was great, but Jesse Eisenberg's to me just wasn't. He has effectively played this as a kind of like a whiny, spoilt kid who just, he just wants to get his own way kind of thing. Yeah. Rather than being, a genius level businessman who kind of like, uses his intellect to cripple his enemies. He came up with this random fucking like plot as to how he's going to get these guys to basically end each other. But then just in case that doesn't work, here's this fucking doomsday creature that I've created.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And we covered all of that in our first review.
But for me, I guess the point I'm trying to get across is this movie added nothing to him for me.
Yeah, and I agree.
It didn't make me sort of like him anymore.
Yeah.
Doomsday I completely agree with. Look, Superman, I was less harsh, I guess, on it the first time around. I read an article from Dave Trumbaugh from Collider, and he actually said it pretty well. And it's kind of like, does Zack Snyder hate Superman? It's kind of like when you look at his treatment in this movie, essentially, it's kind of like it is from start to finish just utter hopelessness, which doesn't represent the character as true. So, and he's never really given a chance to rise above it. It's kind of like, shit, now you're dead.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. And Superman is supposed to be the beacon of hope.
That's exactly what he's supposed to be. And Zack Snyder has copped a lot of shit. And, I hope that the Ultimate Edition might, change some of that.
Yeah.
And it did for Clark Kent, which I spoke about before. But it really did nothing to add to
the Superman
half of the character.
Yeah.
And I think it was treated, a little bit badly. I don't necessarily think that Zack Snyder hates Superman as a character, but I think it's kind of like, it's more, think of it like, if you look at, say, Man of Steel and Dawn of Justice and the Justice League as a trilogy, which it's not.
Yeah.
But if you look at it as, like a beginning, a middle, and an end, it could be kind of like I think I read something kind of like a Christ-like sort of story in the sense of, here is the birth of Superman.
Right.
In the first movie, and we see the birth and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Then we see the he tries everything for the human race and the trials and tribulations that he goes through, unfortunately to his ultimate painful death for nothing. But then we see the rebirth in the third movie.
Yep.
And we see the rebirth and the absolute, the redemption for this character to come back and kind of go, this is what it means for me to be a part of the human race or whatever.
Yeah.
And, he comes back and ultimately, saves the day and all that sort of stuff. Like, that's the way it could be done.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting.
So this movie could be, as dour on Superman as it is.
For a reason.
For a reason. And it could be leading to the ultimate resurrection / redemption storyline.
Yeah. Which would play off quite well if he is under the control of Darkseid.
Yeah.
I like it.
We'll see how it goes. But that for me, that's how it is for me.
Yeah.
Do you want to give it a rating, Ultimate Edition rating? Or do you think we don't need to? Do we need to? Because we already rated the other one pretty high.
Do you remember what you rated it?
I think I gave it like a 91.
Did you? No, I think you gave it an 80 and I gave... No?
No, I gave it high, man. I rated it high. And the reason I rated it high was because it gave us a lot of stuff that we can use in the future.
Yeah.
It gave us a brilliant Batman, open the doors to the Justice League, and it has essentially sort of, created this whole Justice League universe.
Yeah, that's right.
I stand by that statement.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kicked it off. It's fantastic.
Yeah, so, don't need to rate it.
Same bloody rating what we gave it in the other episode.
We like the other movie. This movie definitely added value. Do yourself a favor, though, and I asked the question on Twitter, like, if I had somebody that I had to introduce this movie to, should I introduce them to the theatrical or the Ultimate Edition?
Yep.
And I think the, resounding response, basically, was the Ultimate Edition.
Yeah,
so
I think you'd be crazy not to.
If you haven't seen this movie yet, just sit through the 3 hours and watch the Ultimate Edition. It's the way this movie should be seen.
Yep, it's bloody good. And that means it's time for our final segment. Get to know your favorite hero, brought to you by Kasplat Comics and Collectibles. Immerse yourself in other worlds at kasplatcomics.com.au, or you can visit their Facebook page, Kasplat Comics and Collectibles. Check them out. We'll leave a link in the show notes, as we always bloody do.
Every week.
Every bloody week.
Every week, damn it.
Try to look after you guys.
We sure do. So, look, this week, it's pretty much all about the Man of Steel. And we took to Twitter to ask you guys what you thought were the top 3 graphic novels featuring everybody's favorite Son of Krypton, Superman. And firstly, look, let me just say, to try to break this down into a top 3 is incredibly difficult. We kind of knew there were always going to be others thrown into the mix. So here are a couple that might not necessarily have made the poll, but were definitely worthy contenders.
Yeah, that's right. At PS True Gamer and at the Detention Pod voted for the brilliant Kingdom Come by Mark Waid and Alex Ross.
Yes, very, very good book.
Yeah, that's awesome. At Master Debaters, fuck, these guys have the best names.
Yeah, I know, right?
He voted for the classic Death of Superman, which is by Dan Jurgens. Yeah.
Jurgens.
And at Foul Critics claimed All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison to be king. Those are both very good stories.
Yeah, Death of Superman's fantastic. I haven't read it for the longest time.
Yeah.
I am going to go back and reread it. I thought I'd hopefully do it this week.
It kind of makes sense, with this movie that we just bloody watched.
Well, that's true too. Kingdom Come is awesome. And All-Star Superman, yeah, another really, really good one. They're all absolutely fantastic books. If you haven't read any of them, I suggest you go out and do it. However, based on your Twitter votes, we bring you the top 3 graphic novels, starting off with
number 3.
And at number 3, with 21% of your votes, is Superman's Secret Identity. Written by Kurt Busiek and with art by Scott Immonen, Secret Identity is set in our world and tells the story of a young Kansas man with the impossibly famous name Clark Kent. As a teenager, Clark dreams of becoming a writer until one day he discovers he not only bears the same name as the fictional hero Superman, he now shares his superpowers also. What follows is a truly wonderful story set over decades and retold through journal entries about one man's quest to live a normal life in anything but normal circumstances.
Number 2.
Number 2 is Superman Earth 1 with 30% of your votes. Written by J. Michael Straczynski with astounding artwork from Shane Davis. Earth 1 is a modern-day reimagining of one of the most recognizable and beloved heroes to ever grace a comics page, as a young Clark Kent struggles to find a sense of purpose in what is essentially his first year as the Man of Steel. All of your favorites are there: Lois Lane, Perry White, Jimmy Olsen. And although it is lacking the iconic Lex Luthor, fear not, the story is brilliantly written, the artwork is superb, and it has a young Clark Kent with more than his hands full dealing with a catastrophic invasion of the alien kind.
Number 1.
And coming in at number 1, winning with 39% of your votes, is Superman Red Sun. And although it's my personal favorite, I swear I did not rig the voting at all. Red Sun is written by the great Mark Millar. It poses the question as to what the world would be like if instead of landing in a field in Kansas, what if a certain pod crash landed in the Soviet Union instead? Superman, the most powerful man on the planet, becomes the champion of Stalin-era Russia, which in turn becomes the most powerful country on the planet. Meanwhile, in war-torn America, a young upstart businessman, Alexander Luthor, has his eyes set not only on the presidency, but on destroying the Soviet Man of Steel and reclaiming America's place as the world's greatest superpower.
Tell you what, there's some bloody good stories there.
There is some bloody good stories.
That's a good way to spend a long weekend.
Oh, man. I'll tell you what, Red Sun, if you haven't read it, it's really good, but it's the ending that kills it for me. Like, kills it good ways, kills it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's brilliant.
I've actually, to tell you the truth, I've never heard of the Superman secret identity. That seems like a bloody great story.
Yeah, so it's basically like, say if you as you are, your name, your parents kind of jokingly, because their last name was Kent, named you Clark because they were Kansas farmers as well.
Yeah.
And then, one day you kind of just wake up and you actually have Superman's powers as well. It's cool as shit.
Yeah, I might have to. Is that on Comixology?
Yeah. I'd believe so.
Yeah, might have to go see Malik Splat about that one.
He might be able to get it in for you for sure.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's going to bring us to the end of another episode.
That's right. Make sure you come back to us next week when we return.
When we return.
With an as yet unnamed episode.
Yep. If you have any suggestions, leave it for us in Twitterland.
Yeah, Twitterland's probably the best way to go. Don't leave it too late. We obviously need to get the show made at some point.
Yeah, you have to have it to us. Close of business Monday.
Oh, Jesus. So you've got a whole 24 hours to get it done. That's great. Look, once again, we want to thank everybody who has listened, subscribed, reviewed, etc. Make sure you follow us on Facebook at Comic Confidential Podcast, Instagram and Twitter at Comic Con Pod.
We've got the bloody YouTube. Jump on there.
Yeah, jump on the YouTubes. Have a look.
It's pretty much what you're listening to now, but with a picture attached.
Yeah. We did have, mind you, I don't think I've told you this yet, we did have a request to get some video footage out there at some point.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, these poor bastards.
You don't need to see that, kids.
Yeah. Don't forget, we've also got a website, comicconpod.com. You can actually contact us on that website now. I'll put a contact form on there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we got a email actually from that one.
Yes, we did.
Actually, let me pull that up. I'm going to read it up real quick.
Yeah, we got a very lovely email from a young gentleman by the name of Keen.
Yeah, Keen. He said, I hunted through a few comic podcasts until I found the one that wasn't shit. So congrats on that.
Yes, we won. We're not shit.
That's bloody fantastic. This guy's brilliant. Let's get him on the show. Honestly, I really enjoy listening to you guys. You're on a good level between hardcore, geek, and only a movie fan, which is obviously me.
Yeah, obviously. Keen, thank you very much.
Yeah, that's bloody great you reached out.
And taking the time, can I just say, taking the time to actually craft an email is very, very nice.
That's fantastic.
Taking your time out to do that, that's great. Don't forget, you can also support the show if you would like on patreon.com/ComicConPod. We also have a loot crate, so check out the links in the show notes and occasionally on Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah.
Sometimes. And don't forget, Smallville podcast coming soon. One day we'll stop saying coming soon and we'll actually drop a Smallville podcast.
Yeah. It's a lot of work, guys.
It is. It totally is, you guys. We just have to sit each other. I have to look at this guy all day.
All day?
All day. Sitting right opposite me with that smug look on his face. Look at him.
That face that looks at me.
With a face that needs to be seen to be believed. Anyway, Thanks once again for listening. As always, I'm Troy.
And I'm Kade.
And this has been Comic Confidential.
Cheers.
Peace. Stop looking at me.
Nah, man. I'm going to look at you real hard.